Hi crochet friends, welcome back to my page Crochet with Jenny. As promised, I'm back and today we're going to be learning how to make shamrocks. So all you'll need is a hook. I'm using a size J. You can choose to use a different size if you would like. It will just change the size and dimensions of your shamrock, not a problem. I'm using Patty Green by Red Heart, but again, you can use any brand, any color green you want. In fact, when I make a bunch of these to decorate my home, I'm going to go ahead and just do a bunch of different shades of green. So that would be fun to do too. You will need a darning needle or a metal needle, which is actually what I favor, because we want to weave in all of our tails. We don't ever want to just tie a knot and cut it and leave the tail sticking out. And get yourself a good pair of scissors, especially as you keep crocheting. These are nice and sharp. You can get them at any craft store, and they just cut the yarn and they trim it up really good so it's not chewed up on the ends. All right, thanks for following me and get ready to get started. All right, guys, let's get ready to begin. So to start your shamrock, the first thing you want to do is form a magic ring. Now, the pattern on the website actually tells you to chain 4 and then to join it with a slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. If you have a hard time making magic rings, you can go ahead and do this option. And so for those who are going to make a magic ring, give me just 1 minute and I'm going to teach people how to do the chain 4 first. So if you prefer to skip the magic ring and you want to chain 4, just make a slip knot. And then let's go ahead and just go ahead and chain 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 4 chains already completed. And you're going to join it with a slip stitch. So what you can do is you take your hook, you're going to put it back into that very first stitch. Okay, we got our hook in there. And then you're just going to yarn over and you're going to pull it through everything. And what that does is it creates this little ring, if you could see. It creates a little circle and you can work inside of that circle instead of doing the magic ring. Okay, so that's option 1. I'm going to take it apart. Option 2 is just to do the magic ring. And so again, if you've never made a magic ring or you've struggled trying, visit my Crochet with Jenny on Instagram or Facebook, and I offer videos there showing you 2 options on how to do the magic ring. Just click on my videos and look. All right, so to do the magic ring, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around my fingers. All right, so once you have your magic ring made, and the purpose we do the magic ring is it just lets you close up that hole nice and tightly in the middle versus the other way. So once you get the magic ring, you're going to go ahead and start the first petal. We're going to go ahead and make 3 petals total, but if you would like to do a 4th one, you'll just repeat these steps to make a 4th. So go ahead and chain 3. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3. So you made a magic ring, you chained 3, and here's where we're at. You're going to go ahead and do 1 triple crochet. And if you've never done a triple crochet, it's similar to a double, but you wrap the yarn twice. So you're going to go ahead and wrap the yarn once, wrap it again, and then you're going to go into the middle, yarn over, come through. You're going to yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. It's very similar to a double crochet with just a few extra steps, but it's the same principle. The next stitch is going to be a double crochet. So you guys should all know how to do a double crochet. This video is not for beginners. So if you have not learned these stitches yet, keep following this page. I'm going to be posting stitches next week. Okay, so you did your magic ring, you chain 3, you did a triple crochet, you did a double crochet. We're going to do another triple crochet. So remember, you have to wrap that yarn around twice, unlike a double, which you only wrap it once. Okay. Then after your next triple crochet, you're going to go ahead and chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. It should look like this. And you're going to slip stitch inside that ring. So that is 1 petal. That's what 1 petal looks like. We will pull the tail later and tighten everything up. Now, if you want a 4-leaf clover, you'll repeat this 4 times. If you want a 3-leaf clover, we'll repeat it 3 times. I will be posting a link to this website. I will also go ahead and try and type up the pattern for you and post it at the very end so that you can read it if you're a reader instead of watching the video. So let's do another petal. Go ahead and start over and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do a triple crochet, a double, and then a triple. So I'm going to wrap the yarn twice and I'm going to do my triple. So triple, and then I'm going to do a double. And then I'm going to do a triple again. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to slip stitch into this big center hole. So go ahead and slip stitch right inside there. And when you do a slip stitch, it just kind of cinches everything nice and tight. It creates these little dips because we want the leaves to dip down. All right, if your tail's starting to get a little bit short, you can kind of close the hole a little bit just so you don't lose it there. So now we've got 2 petals made. Okay, let me pull my yarn out. For the 3rd petal, same thing, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do another triple. We're going to do a double, do another triple, and then you want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to slip stitch inside that ring. So now we have our 3 leaves. And this is the fun part about using a magic ring versus chaining 4 and connecting it. You can go ahead and pull hard. Some people are afraid to pull on it, but just pull really hard. And see what it does is it closes up that hole that you had here. It makes it really tight. So now that we have our 3 leaves, we need to make our stem. And so with your yarn still connected to your hook, go ahead and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, working back up into this chain, you're going to go ahead and you're going to skip that very, very first chain. Remember, when you're looking at your chain, you never count the one on the hook. You always start with the one below the hook. So that's our first one, and we're going to skip that one. And we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet into the 2nd chain from the hook. So single crochet. And then in the remaining 4 chains, we're going to go ahead and just slip stitch. So just put your hook in there, yarn over, and pull through everything. Hopefully you remember what a slip stitch is, okay? So once you do that, we single crochet on the end because we want the stem a little bigger on the end and we want it to get a little narrower as it goes up. So that's why we slip stitch the rest of the way. Once you're done, the pattern does say to go ahead and finish right here, but I personally feel like the stem needs connected back to the middle ring because otherwise it just kind of hangs. And so what I like to do is I'm going to take my hook, I'm going to put it back in the middle. If you pull it too tight, it might be hard to get in there. And do a slip stitch. Just yarn over and pull through everything. And that'll just kind of anchor your stem to the leaves, if you can see that. And then every time I finish a project, those who've taken my classes know, I always chain 2. And then what you do is you're going to go ahead and cut a tail. Doesn't need to be too long. And then you're going to pull your yarn through that last chain 2 and pull it out. And then you can pull on it. Use your thumbnail and pinch that knot and just scrape. And it kind of slides that knot right up to the project so that you don't even see a knot. And then go ahead and take this back piece and pull. Oh, okay. Don't pull too hard because that will happen. Anyways, so I pulled a little bit too hard and ripped my yarn right off. But that's okay because that's real life, right? And that happens on projects. And sometimes it happens on a project that you put 60 rows into. And so you could, it's already knotted in there. I could just weave this little tail in, or I could attach another piece of yarn and then tie it off and weave it in. There's ways around that. But we do want to go ahead and weave in our tails. So let me show you how to do that with a longer piece because this one's not long enough to show you. And I'm going to trim it just so it's not hanging. But when you want to weave, let me teach you how to weave in. Some of you have asked me this before. You're not sure how to weave in your yarn. If you just tie knots and cut it, it doesn't look really professional. If you've ever gotten a blanket and there's like little tails sticking out, you know, it just looks more professional if you can hide the tails and no one can tell where it begins and ends. And so that's a clean project. So go ahead and thread your needle. Again, I prefer my metal needles, but I just figured this yellow one would be easier for you to see on the video. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a place real close to where the tail's coming out, and you're just going to kind of take your tail and weave it in and out of the stitches. You don't want to go through to the other side because we don't want to see a green string. We want to see the pattern. So I'm just going to do a few stitches since this is not a huge shamrock. And I'm just going to pull it snug, but not real tight. And then I'm going to go back in the same direction I came from. Doesn't have to be exact spots. And then one more time, just kind of go back in the same direction. I go back and forth about 3 times. And then tighten it up a little bit. Your yarn is knotted and now it's woven. It's not going to go anywhere. Even if this came unwound, you're fine. So you're going to go ahead and clip off that tail. And then when you're done, if you look, you really can't see where I wove it. Let me turn it around here. So flipping it back this way, There you go. You've got your 3-leaf clover. Again, if you wanted to do 4, we would repeat this pattern just one more time. And if you would like to stick around, I think I'll go ahead and make one more video. Again, I'll slow down. I'm going to teach you a few more steps. I'll go over the stitches and I'm going to go ahead and do a different green. I'm also going to use a different size hook this time so that you can see how using a different size hook can change the size of your work. Okay, so I'm going to do another video here and I'm going to teach you how to do the shamrock one more time. I'm actually going to slow down a little bit and teach you a few different techniques if you've never learned them. I'll teach you the triple crochet because that's not a common stitch that most people use. Most people are used to single crochets and double crochets. I'm going to downsize to an I hook instead of a J, and if you've never seen the difference, you can tell that the I is just a little bit less in diameter than the J hook. It also measures as a 5.5 millimeter versus a J, which is a 6 millimeter. So go ahead and get started. You're going to go ahead and again make your magic ring. Now, a magic ring, I will have to do a separate video on this for those of you who really want to just master it and get it down, but I'll teach you the basics here. You're going to go ahead, if you're right-handed, tail in the left hand, and you're going to go ahead and wrap around your 2 fingers. Come back around, but crisscross, so the yarn lays over the last piece. You're going to take your hook, go under, over, and bring it through just like so. Okay? You're going to go ahead and pick it off your fingers, and you have this long working end. We're going to go ahead and chain 3 with it. 1, 2, 3. And we're chaining 3 because this pattern tells us to. We don't always make a magic ring and then just automatically chain 3. You'll have to chain whatever the pattern tells you to chain. We chain 3 because it equals the height of a double crochet. 3 chains is taller than obviously 2 or 1 chain. And so we're working with taller stitches today. So you've got your magic ring, you've got your chain 3, and we're ready to begin. So remember, we're going to do a triple crochet, and I wanted to do one for you a little bit slower on this video. So triple crochet is a tall stitch. It's taller than a double crochet. And the way you do a triple crochet is like this. You're going to wrap your yarn around twice so that you can see that there's 1, 2, and a third one wrapped over the top. You're going to go ahead and go into the stitch, yarn over, come back through, and you have 4 on your hook. Yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through the last 2. That's your triple crochet. Now your double crochet, you're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, come back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. That's a double. And then if you look, you can tell that the double is slightly shorter than the triple crochet. Okay, so going back up to the next size, we're doing a triple again. So wrap it twice, go in, yarn over, come through, you have 4 on your hook, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And so depending on the yarn you're using, it might split easier than other yarn. So if it happens to you, just back out and start that stitch over. Okay, so we have our chain 3, a triple crochet, our double crochet, and a triple crochet. We're going to go ahead and chain 3 again, and then we're going to connect it to that center ring using a slip stitch. So go ahead and slip stitch to the center ring. And there's your first petal. And I think for this one, I'll go ahead and do 4 petals just so you can see how I add the other one. So again, repeat the process. You're going to do a chain 3. You're going to do your triple, and you're going to do a double. So remember, the difference between a triple and a double is the amount of times you wrap it with to start. So just practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get. And then finish off with a chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and another slip stitch. And this completes our second petal. So let's start our third petal. Chain 3 again. Eventually you can just memorize the patterns because it's kind of repetitive. Go ahead and do your triple. I should say triple crochet. Then go ahead and do a double crochet. Do another triple crochet. And then chain 3. 1, 2. And then a slip stitch. Now if you wanted to just do 3 leaves, you would stop here. I want to do 4 this time, so I'm going to go ahead and start one more time. So go ahead and chain 3 again. And then go ahead and do your triple crochet, a double, another triple, and chain 3, and then go ahead and slip stitch it into the ring. And by now, if you've done 4, it'll look somewhat like this. You've got your 4 petals, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead and pull that tail, not as tight as I did on the last one where the yarn broke off, but it happens, it's fine. So now I'm ready to make my stem. And if you remember from the stem, we're just gonna chain 6 from where we're at. So just yarn over and pull through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip that first chain and we're going to single crochet into the second chain. Perfect. And the last 4, we're just going to slip stitch. So a slip stitch is where you put your hook in, yarn over, and pull through everything at the same time. The purpose of a slip stitch is just a tighter stitch. It's used to connect parts of a project to itself. And after you finish that stem, I would go ahead and slip stitch into the middle ring. And then once more, like we did on the last one, chain 2. Because we're going to cut our yarn. That chain 2 allows you to create a knot that will keep your yarn from unraveling. And just trim a tail that's long enough to weave, and then pull that yarn out of that chain. And then just use your thumb and scrape that knot tight so you can't see it. Now I have this big hole. If you opted to do the chain 4 method, you might have a hole that's similar to this. That's okay. You can leave it like that. You can also take the tail and sew it back and forth if you don't want the hole. The magic ring method allows you to pull on that and tighten up the hole so that you don't have a really big hole or even have one at all. So I don't want to pull too hard so I can teach you how to weave. And then all you'll do is you'll go ahead and weave in your tails. So I'm going to use the yellow darning needle again. You can get these. There's a pack of 6 for like $3 at Hobby Lobby. You can also buy them at other craft stores. And they're very handy, especially when I'm making dolls. I'll use them to hold my dolls down so I can sew things into place. So these are really handy to have as a crocheter. So go ahead and thread that needle. And then once you've done that, you're going to pick up the back side. So if you see where the yarn has left off right here, I'm going to just go ahead and weave the yarn in the opposite direction. So it kind of tugs on the yarn and holds it tight. So you just go back and forth 3 times. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be a specific stitch or space that you go into. Just don't go all the way through to the other side. Try to stay in the middle of those 2 sides so that nobody can see it. And once you've gone back and forth 3 times, just get your scissors. Remember to always cut up and away from your project. I've made the mistake of cutting down and I've actually cut my stitches. And that is so sad when you've put so many hours into a beanie or something. Same thing with this piece. We're going to go ahead and thread your needle, and we're going to go ahead and find a place that's close to where it came out of and just kind of weave it back and forth a few times again. So, and I kind of tug on it because it just makes the whole project tighten up and look a lot neater. So 1, 2, I'm going to do my 3, and then again, just cut as close as you can, just cut up and away from your project. And then when you're done, you should barely be able to see where you wove your yarn. It really shouldn't be visible. And because I sell a lot of my work, and so that's what I always aim for, is that they, sometimes I actually will have to undo something and I can't even find my tail. And I have to end up making the whole project over because I cannot undo it. I can't find the tail. So there you go. So remember the first time I had used a J hook right here, and that was my shamrock with the J hook. And for this project, I use an I hook. And so it came out just a little bit smaller. You could probably barely see it on the camera, but I just wanted to show you that when you use different size hooks, you can control the size of your project. A lot of my other projects, I have bigger hooks and I have smaller hooks. And so play around with it, have fun with it. And anyways, thank you guys for following me. Try making a bunch of these, and you could string them together on a piece of twine and you can hang up and make yourself a little garland, or you can just kind of get a bunch of them and just lay them in a little dish. So I would love to see what you guys end up making. Please feel free to share them with me. Email it to me. I'll post it on my class pages if you would like to do that. Reach out to me if you get stuck on a specific part. And just have fun with it, you guys. This is a whole learning experience for so many of you. So have fun. And again, don't be afraid to ask any questions. Take care. Thanks.